Hi students, this is AJ sir. Let's study 9th standard ICSE Math chapter 27. Also, to enroll for my online test series or online lectures, email me or message me on Instagram. Check the description for more information. This chapter is very similar to chapter 26, where we simply have to plot the graphs for the equations given. So there will be a lot of cancellations here, simply to reduce your homework. Cancel question 1 entirely. Also cancel question 8 and 10.1. Mark the 6th sum as IMP because that's something unique. Let's start with 2.1. We have to draw a graph for this equation and also find the coordinates of the points where the graph meets the x and y axis. So what is the first step we do? Well, take the LCM, write the equation in the standard form, and I want y alone. I prefer y on the LHS, not x. So we have a relationship between y and x. We make a table and we assume any three values of x and we calculate the values of y. Now, since you are well versed with such calculations and such sums, it's okay if you don't show the working. You can do it mentally. For example, when you take x as 0, just check. 5 into 0 is 0, that is 15 upon 3, 5. So that works. I'm not getting a decimal value, so it's acceptable. So the point to be plotted is 0, 5. Since the denominator is 3, so now we just simply have to take difference of 3 from a 0. 0 plus 3 and 0 minus 3. So these are the values I'll take for x. You can do the calculations mentally and get the values of y. So you got 3 points to plot. Take an appropriate axis, plot the 3 points, join them with a straight line and write the original equation always. And where do they intersect the x and y axis? Well, at 3, 0 and 0, 5. Even without plotting the graph, I knew at what point will it cut the x and y axis by looking at this table. Whenever the x coordinate is 0, that means this point lies on the y axis. And when the y coordinate is 0, that means this point lies on the x axis. So these were the answers, but the question says draw the graph, so we have to draw the graph. And don't forget to write the final answer. Make sure you always write the question number as well as on the main sheet as well as on the graph sheet. And you should always write on graph paper during exam. In school, if they've asked you to write a scale, do that as well here. Next, the fourth sum, draw the equation and find the values of x when y's values are given. We have exactly this type of sum in chapter 26 as well. So let's quickly do this. So the fourth sum, first of all, rearrange the term so that y is alone. You get y is equal to 2x minus 5 upon 3. Again, denominator is 3. Now get any one appropriate value of x. 0 won't work because if I put x as 0, then I'm getting y's value in a fraction. So ignore that. Try something else. How about x as 1? That will work. It will become minus 3 upon 3, that is minus 1, which is not a fraction. So I got 1 point. Now getting the other points is easy. We know that the denominator is 3, so the difference should be of 3. So 1 plus 3 is 4. 1 minus 3 is minus 2. Minus 2 would also work, but I'm just going ahead with 7. So I got 3 points to plot. You plot it on the graph. You draw the line. And now they've asked when y is 7, x is how much? So y is 7 means start from the y axis. So if y is 7, you can use a ruler. And here, so now put a vertical line to get the x value. 13 is the answer. Now I intentionally started the origin on the left hand side and not from the center of the graph because I knew that I would require a lot of numbers, positive numbers on the x axis 13. If you don't foresee this, then you may end up drawing the axis in the center and it won't fit. Then you'll have to erase the whole thing. So what you can do is quickly you can just substitute the value of y as 7 and calculate mentally or in rough work what would be the value of x. And when you realize that the value of x is a big number, then accordingly mark the axis. We know that negative numbers won't be involved much here, just a -5 is required, not beyond it. So that's the way to save your time, by investing time in calculating mentally. And this also ensures that you don't make any silly mistake while writing this final answer. So always do this, get the answer with the help of a graph, but also get the answer mentally by substituting the values in the equation. Similarly, y is -5. So when we look at -5, where does it intersect? Here, and then x-axis -5. So x value is also -5 here, coincidentally. Now the sixth sum is IMP. Here equation is not given, they've given some values, they've given a table out of which 3 points can be plotted. -5, -2 can be plotted, 3, 2 can be plotted, and 13, 7 can be plotted. So do that, plot those points and then connect them with a line. And then they've asked that if x is -1, how much is y? So as we did in the previous sum, if x is -1, which is here between 0 and -2, somewhere here. So if x is -1, you can see y is 0, because if a point is lying on the x-axis, the y's coordinate is always 0. So that's how we write it. And make sure you write the value of a as well. Similarly, find the value of b, 2, and the answer is 9. So when y is 5 means somewhere between 4 and 6 here. So that intersects around here, which is here, which is between 8 and 10, that's 9. If you don't want to take 1 centimeter as 2, you can take 1 centimeter as 1 as well, but then we have to go up till 13, number 13 out here. So that is why you'll have to be careful. What you can do is you can shift the y-axis to the left, so you'll have more space on the right hand side to plot it. Now after getting the two values, the sum is not over yet. Now they want us to figure out what is the equation for this line. That is something unique. So we write the equation in a standard form, y is equal to px plus q, where p is the coefficient of x and q is a constant. This is similar to writing ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. However, we are assuming b, the coefficient of y, as 1 out here. So now we will substitute the values of x and y from equation 1 and 2. Well, we could have substitute any of these pairs of values. So we need to do it twice. When y is 0, x was -1. And when y is 5, x was x coefficient was x variable value was 9. P and Q values we don't know. In fact, we have to find that out. So now that we have two equations, we can solve them simultaneously to get the value of P first and then substitute and get the value of Q. And now substitute the values of P and Q in the original equation, this one. So this is the final equation, the required relationship between y and x. Next, 10.2. Now in this sum, they are saying that this point lies on the equation. Whenever they say a point lies on the equation, it means it satisfies the equation. So first of all, this equation is given, so I want y alone. Plot 3 points. Note that the denominator is 2, so the difference between the x variables will be of 2 each. Once you plot it, now they are saying that 5 k minus 2 lies on this straight line. where 5 is the x coordinate. If 5 is the x coordinate, then the corresponding value of y is 3 as per the graph. In fact, looking at the table itself, I knew that if x value is 5, the y's value will be 3, but they said draw a graph, so we have to. Y is 3, but they said that the y coordinate is k minus 2, so that means k minus 2 is 3, so the final value of k turns out to be 5. Now 27b, when they say solve two equations graphically, they simply mean plot the two lines on the same graph and the point of intersection is the solution. We know how to solve two equations simultaneously by elimination method or substitution method, but now we will learn how to solve it graphically. So again, nothing new in this exercise. A lot of cancellations here. Yes, you are welcome. Question 1 is cancel 2, cancel 3, cancel 4, cancel, simply because it's of the same type. So if you just do the sums which I'm asking you to properly along with the solved examples and the stage 1 sums, that should be sufficient practice for you to do any of these other sums if they come in exam. If you still want to do all these things, do it. Cancel 10, 11, 12 and 14 as well. IMP, just the 9th sum. Let's start with the 5th sum. Oh, they've given the scale, that's good. So they've given us two equations, plot only 3 points per line. Obviously, we're not going to do more than that. So let's start with it. For the equation number 1, y is alone, 3 points. Equation number 2, y is alone, 3 points. After plotting, it looks like this. Make sure you write the equations, original equations, so that you know which equation is represented by which line. Now, Roman number 1 on graph paper, always write it like this. Roman number 2, they are asking us the point of intersection of the two lines. I am calling it P, which turns out to be minus 2, minus 1. Remember, always x coordinate first. And then the most interesting thing is they want the distance of this point of intersection from the origin. So just draw a dashed line and with a ruler, yes, with a rule, measure the distance, which will turn out to be 2.2 meters. Note that the scale I have taken is 1 centimeter as 1 unit. 1 centimeter is 1 unit, or 1 unit is 1 centimeter. Hence, when the ruler tells me 2.2, even I will write the answer as 2.2 centimeters. However, in the question, they had asked me to take 2 centimeters as 1 unit, so that the numbers would have been more spaced out if I would have used that scale. And I suggest you to do that, because in exam also, if they mention some scale, it's compulsory to use it. But in that case, the length with your ruler would have turned out to be 4.4 centimeters, but don't write that. It's actually 4.4 units which you are getting. You'll have to halve it and the answer would still have to be 2.2 centimeters. That's because the scale is like that. If 2 centimeters is 1 unit and you are getting the answer as 4.4 centimeters, the answer is 2 units or 2.2 units. To avoid this confusion, I use my own scale, 1 centimeter, 1 unit. So no confusion, what you get is what you see. 2.2 centimeters is the distance directly. Sixth sum, again 3 equations are given, out of which one equation y minus 2 is equal to 0 is straightforward. That is same as saying y is equal to 2. And whenever the equation does not have x, if it is y is equal to 2, it means it will be parallel to the x-axis. So it would be y is equal to 2, passing through 2 on the y-axis, parallel to the x-axis. But the other 2 equations, of course, we have to plot 3 points and 3 points here. And then they've asked us to find the area of the triangle. Now, fortunately, this equation and this equation are perpendicular to each other. Yes, you can measure it with the protractor. So that means you can consider this as the base and this as the height. So with a ruler, measure this base with a ruler, and with a ruler measure this height. Note again, I took 1 centimeter as 1 unit. So no confusion here. Whatever you measure with the ruler is actually the base. By the way, this is the hypotenuse, which is not required for area of a triangle. So half into base into height, and this is the final answer. Also, they wanted the vertices coordinates. So wherever they have intersected, write those as the vertices. And finally, the 9th sum, which is IMP, again a unique sum. The cost of manufacturing X articles is 50 plus 3X. Of course, the CP or cost price depends on the number of articles, and selling price is 4X. So we've got two equations here. For cost price, it is Y is equal to 50 plus 3X, where Y is the CP. And for selling price, it is Y is equal to 4X, where here Y is SP. So these are just normal two linear equations. So plot 3 points out of it. I'm taking X as 0, 10 and 20. Yeah, take big values here. Because in the question, they have asked for the profit when number of articles or the value of X is 30 and 60. So clearly X's values will be quite big in this sum. Also, the number of articles can't be negative, and even the CP or SP can't be negative. You can't have negative money. So keeping that in mind, I drew my X and Y axis from this corner of the graph paper, so that it gives me ample space for my Y axis and X axis. I'm gonna go till 60 here because I read the question completely before drawing 60. So 2 centimeters is 10 units, and here I'll go all the way till 240 because I mentally calculated if I put 60 out here and 60 out here, what is the biggest value I will get. I got 240 as the biggest value. So before even deciding the scale, you should mentally calculate to decide till what number should you go. Otherwise you'll have to erase and waste your time, and it looks shabby as well. So you plot any 3 points on the graph for CP as well as for SP. You get two equations. CP starts from here, whereas SP starts from here. CP starts from here. It means that even if you're not producing any articles, 0 articles, still your 50 rupees will be spent, for the costs like electricity, rent, etc. They go whether you produce anything or not. This we'll study in economics, in commerce. You can see that initially, with less number of articles produced, CP is higher than SP, so it's a loss. The break-even point comes when the CP and SP both reach 200 rupees. That is for how many articles? For 50 articles. That means if you are going to produce less than 50 articles, you are going to be in a loss. You have to produce more than 50 articles to earn some profit, because then the SP graph overtakes the CP graph. This is not relevant for this chapter, it's related to commerce, but I'm just trying to explain to you how math and graphs especially are useful in our practical life in businesses. It's not something abstract and useless. It's very useful. So this is how managers make a decision about how much to produce, at what price should we sell it, how much profit are we expecting, etc. So what is a break-even point? No profit, no loss is called break-even point. 50 articles. So the target should always be to produce more than 50 articles. Next question was, if the number of articles, that is X, is 30, what is the profit or loss? Well, at 30, you notice that, what is this now? This is SP. So SP is 120 and CP is 140. CP is more, that means that there is a loss of 20 rupees. Similarly, when the number of articles is 60, the profit is 10 rupees, because at 60 you can see that now the CP is 230 and SP is 240, so the difference is 10 rupees. You should know all these values even before drawing the graph, because sometimes if you may not plot it properly or not draw a straight line properly, it may not exactly pass through proper points of 230 and 200. It might be a little up or down. But if you know what the values are going to be, and you can easily know by substituting the value here, then you can just adjust the ruler a bit to ensure that it passes exactly through the correct points.